They told him he wasn't qualified to run the company he built. 7 board members. 1 unanimous vote. They had no idea he owned every patent that made them billionaires. What happened next shocked Silicon Valley forever. This is a true story of revenge, justice, and the receipts that changed everything. Marcus Tate's phone buzzed at 6:47 a.m. The text from Patricia Chen, his CFO, had only 3 words: emergency board meeting. He sat up in his cramped Oakland apartment, the same one-bedroom he'd lived in for 8 years. Even after Technova became a billion-dollar company, Marcus never moved. The worn couch, the chipped coffee table, the view of the BART station, everything stayed the same. His mother always said, "Don't forget where you came from." He never did. By 8:30 a.m., Marcus stood outside the glass conference room on the 42nd floor of Technova's headquarters in downtown San Francisco. Through the transparent walls he could see them. All 7 board members. They sat in their expensive suits, whispering to each other, papers spread across the table. Nobody looked at him. Patricia caught his eye for a second, then looked away. That's when Marcus's stomach dropped. He pushed open the door. Talking stopped. "Marcus, sit down." Richard Brennan, the lead investor, didn't smile. He never smiled at Marcus anymore. Not like he did 3 years ago when Marcus was just the quiet janitor who fixed the servers after everyone went home. Marcus pulled out the chair at the head of the table. His chair. The leather creaked under him. "We need to talk about the direction of this company." Richard's voice was cold, flat. "Technova has grown beyond anyone's expectations. Our AI platform is now used by 43 Fortune 500 companies. We're valued at $1.3 billion. But growth has slowed. The board has concerns." Marcus's throat felt tight. "What concerns?" Jennifer Walsh, the former Google executive, leaned forward. Her diamond earrings caught the morning light. "Marcus, you're a brilliant coder. Nobody denies that. But running a company of this size requires different skills. Strategic vision, corporate experience, relationships with institutional investors. I built those relationships," Marcus said quietly. His hands gripped the armrests. "I pitched to every investor in this room." "You built the product," Tom Hendricks interrupted. He was old money from Boston, always tan from his Napa Valley weekends. "Let's be clear about what you built. But scaling a company, that's different. That requires pedigree, business school, a network." The word hung in the air like smoke. Network. Marcus knew what that meant. It meant country clubs he'd never been invited to. It meant prep schools his mother couldn't afford. It meant last names that opened doors before you even knocked. "We've brought in consultants." Richard slid a folder across the table. Marcus didn't touch it. "McKinsey did a full analysis. Their recommendation is clear. Technova needs experienced leadership. Someone who's done this before." Marcus's heart pounded so hard he could hear it in his ears. "Someone like who?" "Daniel Crawford." Jennifer said the name like it was supposed to mean something. "He took 2 companies public. Stanford MBA. He's ready to start next month." The room tilted. Marcus gripped the table. "You're replacing me. We're restructuring." Patricia finally spoke, but she still wouldn't look at him. "You'd stay on as chief technology officer. Keep your equity. You'd still be incredibly wealthy, Marcus. You'd still be part of Technova's success." "My success." The words came out harder than Marcus intended. "I wrote every line of code for the first version. I slept here for 2 years. I pitched this company out of a backpack. And we're grateful." Richard's voice didn't sound grateful. "But this isn't personal. It's business. The market demands confidence. Our institutional investors need to see someone at the helm who understands their world." Marcus looked at each face around the table. 7 board members. 5 of them he'd brought in himself. He'd trusted them. He'd given them pieces of his company, his dream, because they said they believed in him. "When did you decide this?" Marcus asked. Silence. When? His voice cracked. We've been discussing it for 6 weeks, Tom said. We wanted to have a solid plan before bringing it to you. 6 weeks. Marcus had spent 6 weeks working 18-hour days, fixing bugs, meeting with clients, building the future. And they'd spent 6 weeks planning to take it away from him. We need a vote, Richard said. He pulled out a printed document. This is the resolution to appoint Daniel Crawford as CEO and transition Marcus Tate to CTO. Effective November 15th. All in favor. Richard's hand went up. Then Jennifer's. Then Tom's. One by one, every hand rose. Patricia was last. She lifted her hand slowly, eyes closed, like it hurt her to do it. 7 hands. 7 votes. The resolution passes unanimously. Richard stood up. We'll draft the press release today. Daniel will start on Monday. Marcus, we hope you'll be professional about this transition. For the good of the company. They filed out. One by one. Some touched Marcus's shoulder as they passed. A few mumbled, "Sorry, man." But they all left. They all voted. Marcus sat alone in the conference room. Through the glass walls, he could see the office he'd built. Engineers at their desks. The break room with the espresso machine he'd picked out. The wall of patents, framed in black frames, each one representing months of sleepless nights and impossible problems he'd solved. His phone buzzed. A news alert. Technova appoints new CEO Daniel Crawford. Founder steps down. They'd already leaked it. Before he even left the room. Marcus stood up slowly. His legs felt numb. He walked to his office, soon to be Daniel's office, and locked the door. He pulled down the blinds. And then he opened his laptop. His fingers moved across the keyboard, muscle memory taking over. He typed in a password only he knew. A hidden folder appeared. Inside were files he'd never shown anyone. Documents he'd kept locked away for a moment, he hoped would never come. But the moment had come. Marcus's hands stopped shaking. His breathing steadied. He clicked open the first file and started reading. A small smile crossed his face for the first time that morning. They thought they knew what he'd built. They had no idea. Before we dive into the next part of this story, smash that like button and subscribe so you never miss stories like this. Trust me, you'll want to see how this ends. Now let's get into it. Marcus didn't sleep that night. He sat at his kitchen table with his laptop, going through every file, every document, every piece of paper he'd saved over the last 8 years. His coffee went cold 3 times. Outside his window, Oakland woke up. Buses hissing to stops, neighbors shouting good morning, someone's radio playing too loud. Normal life continued while Marcus's world had ended. Except it hadn't ended. Not yet. At 9 a.m., Marcus walked back into Technova headquarters. The security guard, Ramon, smiled at him. "Morning, boss." Marcus nodded but didn't correct him. By Monday, he wouldn't be anyone's boss. He went straight to the conference room. Richard was already there, setting up his laptop. "Marcus, we need to discuss the transition timeline with Daniel. I need to show you something first." Marcus set down a leather briefcase. It was old, scratched, the zipper broken on one side. His mother had given it to him when he got his first job mopping floors at a tech startup in San Jose. He'd carried it every day for 10 years. "Marcus, we don't have time for." "Sit down, Richard." Marcus's voice was different. Harder. Richard's eyebrows went up, but he sat. One by one, the other board members arrived. Jennifer with her green juice. Tom on his phone laughing about something. Patricia came in last, looking like she hadn't slept either. They all took their seats, confused about why Marcus had called a meeting. "Yesterday you voted me out," Marcus said. He stood at the head of the table, hands resting on his briefcase. "You said I didn't have the pedigree, the network, the experience. You said I built the product, but that's all I built." "Marcus," we explained. Jennifer started. "Let me finish." Marcus unzipped the briefcase. "Before I started Technova, I worked as a janitor at 6 different tech companies. Data Stream, Cloud Vault, Neural Path. I worked midnight to 8 a.m. cleaning offices, emptying trash cans, mopping floors. And every night I'd find papers in the garbage. Printed code, system designs, patent applications that engineers threw away because they had small mistakes. He pulled out a stack of papers, yellowed with age, some stained with coffee rings. I kept them. I studied them. I taught myself to code by reading what rich engineers threw in the trash. Tom shifted in his seat. What's your point? Marcus pulled out another stack. In 2019, I was mopping the executive floor at Neural Path. I found a memo in the CEO's trash about a new compression algorithm for AI processing. Cut data load times by 60%. Revolutionary technology. But Neural Path never filed for it. The engineers who developed it got laid off in a restructuring. The project died. He slid the memo across the table. Richard picked it up, squinting at the faded text. So I finished it. Marcus pulled out more papers. I spent 2 years perfecting that algorithm. I filed for the patent myself in 2021. Patent number US 10-947. 382b2. The United States Patent Office granted it to Marcus Tate. Me. Not Neural Path. Not any company. Me. Jennifer's face went pale. That algorithm. That's the foundation of Technova's entire platform. Yes. Marcus pulled out more documents. Dozens of them. DataStream threw away research on neural network optimization. Finished it. Patent US 11-234. 567b1. Marcus Tate. Cloud Vault discarded a revolutionary approach to encrypted data sharing. Perfected it. Patent US 11-456. 789b2. Marcus Tate. He spread the patents across the table like a card dealer. 23 patents. Every single one with Marcus Tate's name at the top. Every single one filed before Technova existed. This is impossible, Richard whispered. His hands shook as he picked up patent after patent. These are core technologies. The compression engine, the encryption protocol, the neural interface. Everything Technova sells is built on these. Correct. Marcus pulled out one final document. This one was newer, printed on crisp white paper. This is the licensing agreement I signed with Technova when we incorporated. I licensed all 23 patents to the company. But I retained ownership. I can revoke that license with 30 days' notice. The room went silent. Not the awkward silence from yesterday. This was different. This was the sound of 7 people realizing they'd made a catastrophic mistake. You're saying? Patricia's voice cracked. Without these patents, Technova has nothing. Without these patents, Technova is an empty office and some computers. Marcus closed his briefcase. Every client we have, every contract we've signed, every dollar of revenue, it all depends on technology one own. Not the company. Me. Tom stood up fast, his chair rolling backward. You can't do this. We have contracts, obligations. You'd destroy everything. I'm not destroying anything. Marcus looked at each of them. You are. You voted me out because you didn't think a black man who cleaned toilets could run a billion-dollar company. You needed someone with a Stanford MBA and a country club membership. Someone who looked like you. That's not. Jennifer started. Don't. Marcus's voice cut through her excuse. I heard what you said. Pedigree. Network. Someone who understands their world. You meant white. Just say it. Richard's face turned red. Now wait just a minute. I'm done waiting. Marcus picked up his briefcase. Here's what happens now. You have 2 choices. Choice 1. I revoke the patent licenses. Technova shuts down in 30 days. You explain to your investors why a billion-dollar company just became worthless. Daniel Crawford can be CEO of an empty building. He walked to the door then turned back. Choice 2, you vote again. Right now. Marcus Tate remains CEO. You all resign from the board immediately. And I rebuild this board with people who actually believe in what we're doing here. You can't force us to resign, Tom said, but his voice had no power in it. Marcus smiled for the first time. Check your board member agreements. Section 12, paragraph 4. Any board member can be removed by the CEO with cause. I'd say conspiring to stage a coup is cause. But I'm giving you the dignity of resigning. Take it. Patricia stood up first. I resign. Her voice was clear. I should have said something yesterday. I was wrong. I'm sorry, Marcus. Patricia, Richard started. I resign. She took off her badge and set it on the table. Then she walked out. One by one they stood. Jennifer. Richard last. He stared at Marcus for a long moment. His jaw clenched tight. You'll regret this. I regret trusting you, Marcus said. Now get out of my company. They left their badges on the table like fallen soldiers. The door clicked shut. Marcus stood alone in the conference room again, but this time felt different. This time he wasn't the one being pushed out. He pulled out his phone and made a call. Maya. It's Marcus. Remember that conversation we had about creating opportunities for kids who look like us? I'm ready. I need you to find me 7 new board members. Engineers from state schools. Coders from community colleges. People who built something from nothing. Can you do that? On the other end, Maya Washington, founder of Code the Hood, a non-profit teaching programming in underserved communities, laughed. Marcus, I've been waiting for this call for 3 years. I got a list ready. When do you need them? Tomorrow, Marcus said. We're rebuilding this company the right way. He hung up and looked out the window at San Francisco spreading below him. Somewhere in this city, there was a kid mopping floors, reading discarded code, teaching themselves to build something impossible. Marcus had been that kid. He'd cleaned these same streets, rode these same buses, been invisible to people who now wanted to use his name for their profit. Not anymore. Marcus opened his laptop and started typing an email to every Technova employee. The subject line read, "The real story." He told them everything. Patents, the vote, the racism disguised as business decisions. And his promise. Technova would become the company that gave chances to people the world counted out. He hit send. His phone exploded with notifications. Messages from employees. News alerts. Twitter. Within an hour the story went viral. Technova founder exposes board racism. Janitor to billionaire fights back. Patent proof destroys Silicon Valley's bias. Richard called. Marcus didn't answer. Jennifer texted an apology. Marcus deleted it. Tom's lawyer sent a threatening letter. Marcus forwarded it to his own lawyer with one word. Handle it. By 5 p.m., Daniel Crawford released a statement declining the CEO position. After learning the full circumstances, I cannot in good conscience accept this role. By 7 p.m., 3 venture capital firms publicly apologized and pledged investments in minority-led startups. By 9 p.m., Marcus sat in his Oakland apartment again, drinking cold coffee, watching the sunset through his scratched window. His phone rang. It was Mama. Baby, I saw the news. You okay? Marcus smiled. Yeah, Mama. I'm okay. I did what you taught me. I didn't forget where I came from. I'm proud of you, baby. Your daddy would be too. They talked for an hour. About nothing. About everything. When Marcus hung up, he felt lighter than he had in years. Monday morning, 7 new board members walked into Technova. A woman who learned to code in prison. A man who immigrated from Nigeria with nothing. A non-binary engineer who dropped out of high school but built apps that changed healthcare. Each one had a story. Each one had been counted out. Marcus shook their hands and said the same thing to each of them. Welcome home. Marcus didn't just win. He changed the game forever. If this story inspired you, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because we bring you real stories of people who refuse to be counted out. Drop a comment telling me what you would have done in Marcus's position. And share this with someone who needs to hear it today. See you in the next one.